That sound you just heard, the first time we've ever brought you into this show's program with an unboxing of sorts. That was a live stream that took place last night in the Ocean State, the state of Rhode Island, right here in New England. It was a group, a subset of a Rhode Island baseball card company group that unboxes these cards on live streams for the customers out there. And lo and behold, they pulled out the Cooper Flag 1/1 numbered rookie debut patch autograph card that, according to those in the know, Ernie Clark, is worth anywhere between $3 to $5 million.
These kind of cards, these debut cards, are somewhat new in terms of the way they are doing them now, correct?
Yes, it's now that like Topps is the official provider, and some of those bigger brands have all the deals, and the owner is like at a certain level. Rubio, right? Michael Rubio, the billionaire who's friends with all these superstars and Brady and the like. So he gets the merchandising deals, as we'll welcome you into today's show. But with that news of a piece of cardboard that a 19-year-old from Newport touched once is worth $3 to $5 million. Credit to the people in that clip. Now, granted, they weren't pulling it for themselves.
Well, they had no idea it was there.
Exactly.
I mean, they were just pulling cards.
They were pulling cards, just blindly pulling cards. And it wasn't for them, like you heard who they were talking to, the owner of the card, Jay Phil or whatever. Yeah. Get in here. It's going in the vault
like
until
E. Clark to me. But
I know. I kind of heard M. Paulette. Make sure you get down here.
Yeah.
But that's certainly why, they weren't popping their heads off and screaming and swearing, because they didn't just become $3 to $5 million heirs. But man, can you imagine just having a piece of merchandise like that in your fingertips that you sneeze, you get too excited, you bend a corner, there goes $500,000.
I just remember when I was a kid, had a little buzz bike that I used to ride around in, and because you want to make it sound pretty cool, right? So you take these baseball cards and you hook them onto your wheels, the spokes with the
I know exactly what you're saying.
With a coat hanger, a clothespin. And off you go. And I
how many thousands of dollars worth of merchandise did you lose over the years doing that?
I mean, I just remember Yankee cards, Mickey Mantle cards. I know I had Mickey Mantle cards that I put in there.
You just wanted to hear the little going behind you.
And Red Sox, because it was right around the time of the Impossible Dream. So it was, and the Cardinals, Bob Gibson. I didn't do that with Bob Gibson cards. I kept a couple of those for a while. Yeah, I didn't keep them long enough, but I kept them for a while. But yeah, who knows? I mean, now you wouldn't. It's just not something anybody would ever do now.
It's not even like the industry. I can't even really fathom it, because it's lost on me in a very large sense of like just the draw of going after the cards, of having to put in the time and the effort to potentially pull them out, of buying, of not knowing what it is that you're buying and trying to strike it big like it's a lottery system. But man, those that do it, it's quite the game at this point.
I mean, I know a lot of kids do it, but ultimately, to me, when I think about it, again, I compare it to sticking Mickey Mantle in the back wheel of my buzz bike. It's kind of like it's taking that whole industry, and it's what happens when you take it to an adult level.
Exactly.
And the money comes into it. And
it's now retirement funds for people and investments.
It's investments. Yeah. And it's fine. I mean, I don't care. It's just too bad that somebody couldn't go out. Well, I mean, you probably still could go out and take a Romy Gonzalez card and stick it in the back of your bike if you want.
You just got to be a little more selective of who you're putting in the bike.
You just can't put the first one you see. You got to look at it a little bit closer. And then we were talking off the air. I mean, I wonder how much Cooper Flag gets out of that.
There's got to be some sort of royalty at a certain level, right?
I mean, I'm sure it's a contract with the company.
Yeah,
and it's probably I mean, it's one sum that he gets, millions, one sum that he gets, and then this is part of it. And, you have to estimate the value of different cards that are going to go out there. And like this was a special one because it's got that little tab off.
It's got the jersey patch, which the card that had the jersey in it sold for like $330,000 back in March.
Well, that had a hole in it because the patch is gone.
That is the current high price paid for any Cooper Flag card or piece of memorabilia out there, and this one is It's expected to blow it out of the water because the second they pulled it, in came an offer for $3.5 million.
That's just a start.
Yep.
That's the opening bid. I remember hearing somewhere, or I don't know if it was hearing him or reading about how he spent some time figuring out how he wanted to sign these things.
Really?
Yeah. If it's kind of like a CF, and then the Lester.
It's branding, right?
Well, sure it is.
It's your first time.
Yeah.
It's your first time putting your stamp on it.
Yeah.
Just like ancient Roman times when you'd print your face on the money. This is Cooper Flagg putting his brand out there.
I bet he's pretty meticulous about stuff, from high school basketball to now, and so it's not a surprise at all. And it's good. I mean, it's a classy kind of stamp, if you will. And and come to find out, it's worth millions of dollars.
Worth quite a bit. That John Hancock that belongs to Cooper Flagg. That's how we welcome you into today's show on The Drive, presented by Next Home Experience, the market leader. Get looped and get sold with Next Home Experience. Ernie and I are coming at you live from the Greenway Equipment Studios, brought to you by Greenway Equipment Sales, your local John Deere dealer. See the Smith Brothers in Bangor and Ellsworth, because nothing runs like a Deere. Over the course of the next couple hours, we will be chatting with Justin Turpin of WEEI, talking the Boston sports scene there, talking Red Sox, Patriots camp underway, joint practices today down in Foxborough that we're going to get to here in a second. We'll have a sports center, a weather forecast, and Tuesday trivia in this first hour, a chance to make you an immediate winner and try to get you in on a competition to make you an even bigger winner with our Red Sox ticket sweepstakes presented by Dunnett's Appliance and Service. We'll have a cue to call to round out this first hour and open up the second hour, the Drive at 5. Also in the Drive at 5, we'll be talking some Celtics basketball. The NBA schedule unveiled today, and the Celtics tipping off the season at a unique time that we'll be talking about later on in today's show, as well as getting you some Sox props, Sports Center, weather forecast, and buzzer beaters all coming your way in the Drive at 5 as well. But Ernie, I want to go back to Foxborough and Patriots camp because things are starting to get real. We are a couple of days away from the first preseason game coming up Thursday night against the Colts. Indy is in town, joint practices today, and the face that everyone has been somewhat surprised to see among the first out there on the field thus far in training camp was not out there today. Here's Ian Rappaport of NFL Network talking about the absence of Christian Gonzalez. Christian Gonzalez out there every day. But to me, it is interesting what he says there with the Hunter Henry contract and the timing of it yesterday. But
apples and oranges.
Yeah, that is real. That's small potatoes compared to what Christian Gonzalez is going to get. $20 million to potentially, 7-8 times that, whatever Gonzalez ends up with. The first thought I had, Ernie, is Christian Gonzalez has shown himself to be A, leader, B, a model citizen throughout camp so far by being there day in and day out, saying he wants to make sure he's getting his reps so that no one is getting the opportunity to close in on his position on the depth chart or get as good as he is. And if I'm the Patriots with another team coming in town for the first time, I almost am of the mindset of like, all right, we can manage you while you're out there against us. But today is live in a different sense. Why don't you take it easy? Why don't you sit off?
Yeah, I mean, there's 2 or 3 things going on. First off, nobody really knows for sure, except for the Patriots and Gonzalez, why he didn't practice today. There's Mike Reese from ESPN had a tweet or something. He said basically that there was some collision or tiny incident at the end of a practice yesterday. I think he was guarding Dobbs from Green Bay, the guy they picked up from Green Bay to play wide receiver, and he went down hard or something like that.
Yeah,
and,
like an end zone fade drill, and he came down hard on his hip, apparently.
And he suggested that might be the reason that Gonzalez wasn't out against the Colts today in the first joint practice. And then he separately afterwards, like he remembered, oh, by the way, they're also negotiating a contract.
Yeah.
To some degree, and we don't know. The other thing that comes in, so is it contract reason or is it injury reason? And the other thing that comes into play is right now it's kind of a disaster area down at Foxborough relative to the turf that they're going to be putting on the field because they needed to replace the natural grass. I'm not sure why that was used during the World Cup at Foxborough Stadium, or was it
Boston Stadium for the World Cup?
Yes, indeed. And apparently what they got for turf wasn't up to NFL standards, at least, or something about it. I've heard it's got to do with the base of it, but it doesn't much matter.
NFL and MLS, it was non-compliant with both leagues.
And so they're out there. I don't know if they've got the right brand yet, but they're out there taking turf off and putting turf on, and they've got an exhibition game in 48 hours,
a little more,
pretty much 52 hours against the Colts. And so there'd probably be a lot of guys that don't play on Thursday night. I mean, not that you would expect them to play that much. I don't expect Drake May to play. I think the talk is that he's not going to play.
Yep.
Gonzalez is. I can't imagine he's going to play.
I don't think so.
Anybody with a contract situation so we don't know who the heck's going to play. But that's one of their 3 preseason games kind of going down the drain as well, which is disappointing. So does that have anything to do with it? I mean, although they didn't practice on the game field, but still, just looking ahead for a couple of days, you may not see him. Well, who knows now? If it's contractual, you won't see him again for a while.
Yeah, that's certainly the worry that could be out there anytime Christian Gonzalez goes missing amid the backdrop of the contract negotiations. But at the same time, this was what he had to say about it, I believe, as recently as yesterday, quote, "I want to practice for myself, for my team, and get better. If I'm sitting out, I'm not getting no better, and other people are getting better. So I got to come out here, take my reps, and do what I got to do," unquote. That was Gonzalez as recently, again, as yesterday. Not out there today, but a lot of things could be playing into that.
Yeah, exactly. But having said this, having him saying something like that, if it's not true, then it's not a good thing to say.
Sure.
So you hope that
you would think he's leading with his word.
Sure. And again, if he wants to be the highest paid cornerback in the league, a couple of weeks off from practice, and you're not the best cornerback in the league anymore because you got some catching up to do. And so I think he's probably understanding of that. It's just, when's this all going to happen? I mean, the nightmare scenario for the Patriots, I think, is to get it to next year and still have Gonzalez, May, and even perhaps, depending on how he does this year, a re-up for A.J. Brown.
Yeah. Could get pricey there.
I mean, and Bob Kraft is, the Patriots are notorious for being one of the
lesser spending franchises?
Yeah, or the least spending franchise over the course of time here as they've gone on to win championships. And so you just don't know how they're going to handle it. Bob Kraft weeks ago came out and said, well, we've made him an offer to be the highest paid cornerback in the league and the highest paid player in Patriots history and stuff like that. But I mean, everything everybody says now when you get to talking about something like this has some sort of edge to it that you can't fully trust either way.
Everybody's got an underlying motive that they're trying to power through.
I mean, what you hope is that if it's meant to be this year, which I guess it should be. I guess it's the way these things run. Other guys in Gonzalez's draft class who play the position have already signed extensions.
Yep.
So why not him? He's trying to make up for some lost time. I mean, he's one of the top handful, 2-3 cornerbacks in the league, and right now he's not getting paid like it because that's the nature of the introductory contract in the league, and he's just wanting to get his, and every day you go without some sort of agreement is a day that emotions could kind of inch toward tension, inch toward
definitely
hostility.
Yeah, the longer that this goes along, that he doesn't have that contract and that guarantee, that insurance behind him, of course, that's just a natural progression that I see at some point.
This is apples and oranges too, but somebody I heard was making the comparison with the guy we were talking about yesterday, Adam Vinatieri, in terms of, kickers and cornerbacks get paid at different levels, certainly so. But when it came time for Vinatieri
to get paid the premium,
to get paid for helping them win Super Bowls, they didn't do it, and he was gone to Indianapolis right off quick, never to be seen again until last weekend.
Well, you
hate to think that's going to happen, but
he is certainly not the only name on that list that Belichick cut ties with a year early over the years. You would hope that new regime, that's just the Patriot way old. But at the same time, we sit here today, and Milton Williams and his $26 million AAV, or wherever exactly that figure is, that's the highest number in franchise history.
Yeah, that's not enough.
That is not enough in today's game.
Either the quarterback or the cornerback.
No.
Although you shouldn't have to worry about the quarterback till next year. But I have no reason to think you won't have to worry about it next year because, he comes across as the nicest guy in the world, but he wants his money.
And the longer you wait,
who doesn't?
The incredibly more expensive that position gets. That goes up $10 million a year.
A year, yeah, exactly. I mean, it's going to be $65-70 million a year he's going to ask for over, I don't know how many years, but
4 or 5, but
5 of them are $350 million.
Yeah, he'll be commanding a chunk.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's the next one. But right now we're dealing with this one, and of course it's the whole situation at this point is in its infancy because as long as he's showing up to practice, Gonzalez, everything's beautiful, and it becomes the question when it affects play on the field, whether it's him as an individual or the Patriots as a team, is when it starts to kind of get much more real. And we don't know where that stands quite yet. We should know tomorrow if we don't know tonight. Somebody down in Boston
as to why he missed
will ask him where he was, or ask Vrabel where he was at least, and somebody will have either an answer or a non-answer, but you'll be able to tell from either one.
Yeah,
the root of the issue,
where exactly it's leading.
Yeah.
We'll be getting one of those Boston media members on the Heroes Hotline with us in the next segment. Justin Turpin from WEEI joining the show to cover the Boston beat. The Drive brought to you by Hero Sports Grill and Entertainment Center. Jim and I will be there tomorrow afternoon in downtown Bangor. Heroes is the place to be. Order to go at herosportsgrill.com. Back with Justin Turpin, continuing to talk Boston sports right after this on the Drive. Hasn't been the case the last 3 nights,
no.
But the 30 before that, yeah, it was kind of the time of their lives for the Boston Red Sox. 27-3 before this current 3-game skid that they are carrying into Game 2 of the Blue Jays series tonight, but reinforcements on the way. Ernie, as you heard Jeff Passan talk about right there on ESPN earlier today, Adley Rutschman has been activated. He is expected to make his team debut for the Red Sox tonight against those Blue Jays, and potentially, I mean, if Toronto is having a better year, the AL Cy Young and Dylan Cease, he's having a remarkable season. His team just stinks.
Well, and he dominated the Red Sox the last time he pitched against them, too. Was it 1 hit or 2 hit? 1 hit shutout, I think.
A lot of strikeouts.
Yeah, and with 12 strikeouts as well. So not an easy coming back party for Rutschman tonight. And the Red Sox are kind of having flashbacks to May and June here. We've only had less than 3 runs a game over the last 3, 3-1, 7 runs in the last 3 games combined, and they shouldn't have had any last night. They got a gift run in the 2-1 loss to the Blue Jays in the first game of that series. So kind of interesting to see where this goes from here, and certainly Cease doesn't present an easy challenge in terms of trying to snap out of the mini slump.
You mentioned the bizarro world happenings last night at the Rogers Center in Toronto. Let's start right there with our guest, Justin Turpin, joining us on the Heroes Hotline from WEEI. Justin, were you aware before the 7th inning of last night's game that a 4th out rule existed in baseball?
I was not, and I'm not sure the umpiring crew was. A 15-minute delay? I've never seen anything like that. That was just fascinating. And it's crazy that it happens, like, in the year 2026. Like, all this technology we have, and we're forgetting the number of outs on the scoreboard. I don't understand that. But, yeah, I was not aware of that, and like I said, I don't think the umpires were either.
I had never seen something like that before, where a game had to be paused, like you're talking about, for quarter of an hour to do a rules check in New York, not to look at a replay. I mean, that's what they were doing to a certain extent, seeing the timing of when exactly the run crossed and the out occurred at first base. But I think part of it was also verifying what exactly the rule stated and how it's applied. Normally, you take for granted the fact that the people running these sporting events know those things, right?
Right, 100%. It's one of those things you just never really think of. And then you see it like that unfold, and you're like, wow, how did we get to this point? How are we waiting for this delay for them to figure out what's going on? And you could tell the people in New York wanted nothing to do with this. They were just like, let's get this thing figured out and get moving on.
I guess the only thing is it wasn't unprecedented. It's happened a couple of times before.
2 other times this century, I found.
Okay, 2 other times this century. So yeah. That means it could have been done more before then. So it wasn't totally unprecedented, but because it sounds like Chad Tracy kind of had an idea what was going on.
Merlone recited it as it was happening. He, granted, guy in baseball his whole life, but he was aware of the rule.
Well,
That is the cool thing about baseball. There's not much that is unprecedented. Like, just the history of the game is so extensive. Like, there's not much that hasn't happened. It is always cool when guys, like you said, like Lou Merlone last night, and Chad Tracy seemingly felt like he had an idea of what was going on as well. It's like cool when people recognize it like that. But one of the like I said, the coolest thing about baseball is like it's just nothing's really unprecedented. It's been around that long.
And just when you think you've seen it all, you have seen it all. You just don't remember it all.
Exactly.
But I guess they got a run and they hung around and they got beat 2-1 instead of 2-0, I suppose. And what do you suppose has happened the last 2 or 3 games between the Athletics and the opener against Toronto? From pounding out 6 runs in pretty much every other first inning there for a while, and suddenly offense is a little bit hard to come by.
Biggest thing, and I heard you guys talking about it before I got on here, about the flashbacks to earlier in the year. One of the biggest things over these last 3 games that have jumped out to me that feels like it is earlier in the year is the lack of home runs. They don't have any home runs in the last 3 games, and that's something they were doing, and they have been doing as of recent during their stretch. They were hitting home runs. They haven't been doing that these last 3 games, and part of that, I think, is Contreras obviously dealing with something. He's just been the heartbeat of that lineup, got hit by the pitch, was dealing with the illness. Like, he's clearly not 100% right now, and I don't think anyone really is at this stage of the season, but you're kind of seeing it kind of take a toll on him, just how much he's been taxed and all the stuff he's going through right now. But the lack of power is what's really been jumping out to me, especially when you look at the last 2 games, when you lose 4-3 and then you lose 2-1. One swing of the bat changes those games, and that's what they're looking for. That's what they need right now, is to refine that power.
Not a lot of off days on the schedule between now and the end of September at this point. At what point do you maybe give Contreras a couple of days off? Maybe the fact that if you get Roachman established in the lineup in the middle of the lineup, maybe that's a way to give Contreras 2 or 3 days off to ideally just kind of deal with the fatigue issue if nothing else.
Yeah, I think you kind of see the same thing with Rafaela as well. Like, he's out in front of a lot of these things, like kind of hitting a little bit of a wall. And I think this is just kind of that point of the season where you see teams start to kind of struggle a little bit. We're getting towards the end of the year. Like a ridiculous collapse would have to happen for this team not to make the playoffs. Like, they should be a playoff team. I don't think that they lack any motivation in that. Like, I think they want to be the best possible team that they can be. Like, they're not like a team taking their foot off the gas and like, okay, we're all right. Like, I think they still believe there is more for them to prove. So I don't necessarily worry about that. But to your point about the Rutschman thing, like, I think this could be the kind of shot in the arm. And again, you don't want to overreact to 3 games, especially considering what they've done before that and the tear that they've been on. But you look at these last 3 games, it's like, okay, maybe they could use a little bit of a shot in the arm. And if Rutschman comes in and can make some noise, I think that can go a long way.
What kind of Adley Rutschman are you expecting the Red Sox to get starting tonight? Because he's a guy who this year made the AL All-Star team for the 3rd time in his career. He's hitting .251, 8 homers, and 47 RBI for the season, which certainly at that position is nothing to sneeze at, but it's also not necessarily a stat line that gets talked about in the way that Adley Rutschman is being talked about as coming in and impacting this lineup immediately. He's also hit just .219 with 3 homers since May 12th as he's dealing with this wrist injury. Me personally, I'm a big Adley Rutschman fan of the guy and the player he was before last season. I think he'll be good, but is there a little bit of a disconnect there at all in your mind, Justin, as to what Red Sox Nation is kind of hyping him up to be versus the production that's been there over the last year and a half?
Yeah, I think there is a little bit. No, that's not to say he's, being overrated or anything, because we've seen the type of player he can be. But that said, like, this year had been a little bit of a down year for him, and maybe it is the wrist injury there. Obviously, the Orioles started off slow this year too, so that could play into it. But I think what you mentioned though, like with that, his numbers at that position is what really elevates this team, especially with how much they've been searching for a catcher. Right? Think about like last year, for example. Like, if Carlos Narvaez didn't have the year he had, where would they have been? Like, where would they have been if he did not flash onto the scene the way he did and obviously crashed down pretty hard this year? But they've been searching for production out of that position for so long now, and you finally get something. Like, this is already obviously a tremendous boost over what they had on the roster, so I think that goes a long way. I do think maybe that injury is factoring into it a little bit, so maybe we should temper expectations a little bit. But you know what type of player this guy can be, and I'm a big fan of it as well, and I think he can be and will be a big addition to this lineup.
We talk about injuries now. Everybody's got them to one degree or another at this point of the season. One of the other questions I had recently about the Red Sox was their pitching staff, and just the fact that they do have a lot of guys who are young and are approaching or have reached career maximums or career highs in innings pitched so far. Think about the Tullies and the Bennetts and people like that. I haven't seen a lot of overly fatigued arms yet. I don't know if I'm missing something other than perhaps the closer. And I'm just wondering if there's reason to be concerned at all about Aroldis Chapman. I'm not expecting him to be perfect for 162 games, but he's letting up quite a few base runners on a fairly regular basis lately.
Yeah, and he's 38 years old. Like, that's the reality with a 38-year-old closer pitching in these high-leverage situations. Like, you're due for some regression at times, especially with thinking back to last June. He's been just nearly unstoppable. Like, you can't hit off the guy. So I think there is some truth into that. Like, his inning count's not crazy high, and I think a lot of people are more so looking at the starting pitching. But I think this is a guy that can also benefit for a little bit of rest here, especially if you're gearing up for what you hope could be a long postseason run. You're going to need him at 100%. You're going to need him ready to go. So I think he could benefit from that. And I also think it helps that Garrett Whitlock is capable of closing, in my opinion. And I think the arms that you have in that bullpen, that's been a strength. Tyron Guerrero, that guy has found something this year, and that's been an incredible story, perhaps overlooked just with what this team's been able to do. Like, he has been outstanding since getting up to the major leagues here and figuring it out. So I think Chapman could probably benefit from some time down here, just given his age, given the high leverage he pitches in, and given the fact that you need him ready to go come October.
Talking Boston sports with Justin Turpin of WEEI. The conversation has been Red Sox themed to this point. Justin, I will let you choose your next adventure. Christian Gonzalez talk or Jaylen Brown, Sixers, Celtics schedule unveiling today?
Oh, let's do Christian Gonzalez, because I was at Patriots training camp earlier, joint practice with the Colts.
Perfect. Tell us why he wasn't out there today.
I think this could be the first kind of line in the sand he is drawing in terms of this contract negotiations. Obviously, he's been a good sport all summer here. He's been a full participant in every training camp practice. A lot of people were questioning whether or not he'd be out there at all come the start of training camp. He was out there. Then the question arose again when they went to pads. He was out there, and he hasn't missed any reps, really. So I think this is the first time he drew a line in the sand where it's like, okay, we got to get this thing done. Like, I'm not playing under this current contract I am under. It's one thing to do it with your team. It's another thing to do it against another team. And I think that's a fair way to look at it. Like, if you're Christian Gonzalez, you have to value the asset. And I will note, it might not be that, because yesterday at the end of practice, he was covering Romeo Doubs and did seem to have maybe his ankle or something. He came up a little gingerly. So maybe they're just kind of cautioning him that way. Alec Pierce, the big ticket re-signing for the Colts this offseason, wasn't out there today. So it's not exactly stiff competition. So maybe they're looking at that and be like, okay, we can manage this as well. We saw what happened obviously he got hurt last year. That maybe factors into it a little bit. So maybe it's that, but I think this could be the first line in the sand he's drawing and saying, we got to get this thing done.
What are the odds we see him out on the field for the first preseason game come Thursday night, especially given the fact that the Patriots are having difficulties resurfacing their field after the World Cup? Yeah.
I put it at 0%. If that contract is not signed, he will not be out there. Even if it's signed, I'm not sure if he's out there really. Like, the thing is now, I think especially with the NFL and how it's trending now, that's why these teams have the joint practices, right? They're more of a controlled environment and still a competitive setting where teams can get their top players those meaningful reps against other teams in competitive setting, while also not necessarily risking much because it's a lot more controlled. So I think a lot of those top guys you probably won't see on Thursday. Like Mike Rabel said this morning, you're not going to probably see Drake May, and I think the same would stand for A.J. Brown. And even if that contract was signed, I don't think we'd see Christian Gonzalez out there, but almost certainly not if he's still unsigned.
I don't know if you were in the press conference portion with Vrabel there yesterday, or today, or whenever it was, but he was asked about the offseason counseling sessions that forced him to miss time from the team around the draft and basically spend 2 minutes talking about like internal line blocking schemes and some stuff away from it. I asked that question to just ask you, Justin, like, are we beyond that to where Vrabel wants it to be, just football matters and something you can push through? Or do you think at some point this will resurface during the Patriots 2026 season between now and whenever that comes to an end?
Yeah, I think it's bound to unsurface. I think there will be another shoe to drop, whether that's her going on and talking to some news channel or whatever it may be. That would be kind of her telling her side of the story. Like, I'm sure that's going to happen at some point. How often is it discussed going into week 1 against the Seahawks? They have a standalone game, obviously, on that Wednesday. How much of that is discussed going into the game? When they do the sit-downs with the coaches, do they ask them about it? So I think that answer today struck me as he was prepared to filibuster on something if somebody asked him about it. Because that was like, he started going to like offensive line combo blocks. Like, that guy was prepared to answer anything but that question. So it felt like that was just kind of something that maybe he already had talked to over with the PR team or whatever it is, but he was certainly prepared for it. I don't think this is something that's just going to go away like that. Like, I think this is something that people are still very much interested in, to each their own. I know there's some people that aren't. Like, this isn't a football matter, but I know there are a lot of people still interested in this whole thing. So there'll be another shoe to drop, like primarily when she goes on and talks and tells her story. But for now, I think this is something you can kind of move forward in, but it will be resurfaced eventually.
Is there a particular question you would like to see at least the start of an answer to come Thursday night and a chance to play an exhibition game?
For just going into Thursday night, like, there isn't really a ton. Like, I think I'd be interested to see, like, does Kayshon Boutte get a lot of reps on Thursday? Like, that's a guy who you probably don't need to see a ton of, right? You know what he's capable of. Had a great year last year. Where does he fit in? So they look at this as kind of like a showcase for him. I know people are, it's been very much discussed that his name has been in trade talks this summer and really dating back to the draft. Like, do they treat this as a showcase? Because he's a guy, like I said, you probably don't need to see a ton on him. Like, does Kyle Williams play a lot? He's gotten essentially no reps with Drake May in the ones throughout training camp here. Mike Vrabel maintained last week that he was going to be a key part of this offense and a key part of what they do this year. But there's been no sign of that on the field. He has not really been involved whatsoever, essentially exclusively with Tommy DeVito. So I'm interested in that. Like, I think that's the biggest story right now, other than Christian Gonzalez, which I don't think we get a resolution by before Thursday. It certainly doesn't feel that way. And I don't think he's going to be out there anyway. So I'd look at the receivers, which is the second biggest conversation now. And there's 7 guys that have a case to stay on this team. How do they handle that? And do they treat Thursday as a showcase for any of these guys?
And just real quickly here, Justin, before we let you go and wrap up the conversation, the NBA did unveil opening day, a triple header today, the Celtics quintuple header, whatever that word is, for 5 in a row. Your thoughts on Boston opening the year on a Tuesday afternoon in Detroit?
That is horrible. A Tuesday afternoon is just so bizarre. I mean, I thought they were going to open up on opening night. Truthfully, I thought it was going to be Celtics and Knicks. I didn't think that they'd scheduled Knicks and Sixers right away, but they ended up doing it. But I didn't think they'd put an afternoon game on a Tuesday. I get it's kind of a draw where you have the two most wins in the Eastern Conference last year, those 2 guys battling it out, but I don't really like that at all. And another takeaway I had from it is the NBA really doesn't care about the Jaylen Brown storyline because they had a chance to do it on opening night, which I think they could have been the second game, which was highly unlikely. Which, like I said, I thought the Celtics and Knicks were going to play, and they certainly had a chance to do it on Christmas because we were having this conversation earlier, actually, down at Gillette. Don't you guys think there'd be more intrigue of Jaylen going back to Boston than LeBron going back to L.A.? I mean, we've already done the LeBron song and dance before, and I get it's LeBron James, arguably the greatest of all time. But don't you think Jaylen Brown's tenure as a Celtic was more successful than LeBron's as a Laker?
Yeah. Honestly, I mean, with the way that the 2 splits occurred as well, I think there would definitely be more juice behind JB's return, like you're talking about there. But so I haven't honestly looked at the full game-by-game schedule. Do you know when that return comes up? Or do we even know at this point?
Not yet. So the only 3 that have been announced is opening night with the Pistons, then they'll play the Knicks that Friday, and then Miami on Christmas. The full schedule will come out Thursday at 3 o'clock.
Perfect. All right. Well, we're starting to get a little bit of it there for the Celtics and seeing how the next couple of seasons will unveil on the court in the association, on the grass or turf as it is now in the NFL. He's Justin Turpin of WEEI. Justin, we appreciate the time you always take for us here and the insight you provide.
Anytime, guys. Thanks for having me.
Justin Turpin right there. It is funny that just that whole thing going on at Gillette. The World Cup rolls in. They're like, hey, you got to put in grass if you want to host games. Oh, okay, cool. The NFL comes back around. Don't worry about it. Throw that synthetic crap back in the ground.
Yeah, go get a floor mat at your local hardware store.
Yeah.
Turns out that they need more than that. But so they're scrambling right now to put playable turf on the field. Well, because you've sold all kinds of tickets to it, right? You've sold the place out for this thing. You've got to, and you don't want anybody to get hurt. And I don't know why. Well, I know why. Yeah. I know why they don't want grass, because it's not just football season at Foxborough Stadium.
Exactly.
It's Taylor Swift, and it's
100
events a year, and you can be
a lot pricier to be rolling in little patches of real grass than just roll out a new thing of turf.
Always repairing it like that. So that's the way it is, and we'll see. Hopefully, for the Patriots' sake, they're all ready to go. Well, they got a couple more nights, a couple days, so hopefully they'll be all ready to go. But I don't know. I've always been a fan of grass.
Bobby's always trying to find a cheap way out of something.
Yeah, he is. Oh, my God.
The Drive brought to you by Bangor Window Shade and Drapery, offering custom blinds, shades, drapery, and outdoor awnings at 105 Main Street in Bangor. Also brought to you by Premium Choice Broadband. They're a family-owned company bringing affordable high-speed internet to Maine for over a decade. You can call or email and mention PCB the Ticket to get 1 free month for new residential customers. Visit PremiumChoiceBroadband.com for details. Also brought to you by Dean's Detailing, the leader in auto detailing for 55 years. Renew your vehicle's appearance, protect your auto investment, look good and feel good in a clean, shiny car, and book your appointment at deansdetailing.com. On the other side of the timeout, we have a sports center, a weather forecast. Tuesday Trivia makes a return. Your chance to win a gift card to Uno's and a couple of movie passes to Bangor Mall Cinemas. And at the end of the segment, stay tuned. Your cue to call for that Red Sox ticket sweepstakes. Time for Tuesday Trivia here on this August 11th Tuesday edition of The Drive, wrapping up the first hour of today's show. Dial us up, 992-9029. We got a couple people lined up here for Tuesday Trivia, but you never know. Might have to go through a few to find our winner today. The Drive brought to you by Union Street Towing. If you're stuck on the side of the road, they've got you covered 24/7 and statewide, from breakdowns to lockouts. They'll get you moving fast. Call 942-4200. Union Street Towing. Driven to be there when you need them most. Also brought to you by Bangor Mall Cinemas, Bangor's favorite hometown theater for over 40 years. Reserve your seat at yourneighborhoodtheater.com. Mark Paulette and Ernie Clark wrapping up hour one here on The Drive. Let's head over to the Heroes Hotline. Before we put the question out there, let's find out who our first contestant is. Brave soul joining us without knowing what is asked of them. Who is this on line one?
This is Chris.
Chris, where are you checking in from today?
Bucksport.
All right, Chris in Bucksport. Here's what we have for you for a Tuesday trivia question. Trying to get you $20 to Uno's as well as a couple Bangor Mall movie passes. Which of the following MLB teams owns the distinction of being the team to overcome the most games over 500 in a season and go on to make the playoffs? For instance, the Red Sox at their low point this season, Ernie, 14 games under 500, correct?
Yes.
So if they go on to make it, that would be a 14-game turnaround. I mean, it would be much better than 14, wherever they wind up over 500,
plus,
but 14-plus turnaround to make it to the playoffs. Which team has the largest mark, has overcome the most in baseball history? Is it the 1914 Braves, the 1974 Pittsburgh Pirates, the 2005 Houston Astros, or the 2019 Washington Nationals? The 1914 Boston Braves, 74 Pittsburgh Pirates, 05 Houston Astros, or 2019 Washington Nationals. I'll tell you the figure was 16. The team that overcame it, 16 was the number. Which of those four did that?
Well, I have zero idea, but I have a 25% chance.
Yeah, you did.
I'm gonna go with the Houston Astros.
Houston Astros of 2005. You missed it by a game. They went from 15 under to grab a wild card and eventually made it to the World Series, falling to the Pope's White Sox that year.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it, guys.
Thank you for the call.
They hadn't mastered the use of the drum yet in 2005.
Not quite. Took them a few more years to get there, about a decade. On to line two. Who's this?
Derek in Bangor.
Derek in Bangor, the man who we sent to Fenway last week?
Yeah, it was a great game.
I was going to say, Derek, we got to take a second here to check in with you. First time hearing from you since you went down to Fenway. Did you stay for all 12 innings and all 5 Red Sox comebacks?
Not for the last one. I wanted to beat the traffic, what was left, so I'm they won, so it was all counts.
There you go. Hung in till that had to be a crazy atmosphere. Just Fenway rocking as that game went back and forth and back and forth.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, Derek trying to swoop in here. He wasn't satisfied with being the big winner last week, trying to get himself another prize here. What do you think, Derek? Which team in Major League Baseball history owns that distinction of going from the worst under 500 to make the playoffs in a single season?
My guess, my gut is telling me the Washington Nationals.
2019 Nats, says Derek. Sorry, Derek. The baseball gods didn't want to make you a two-time winner in 1 week. I guess the Nats, they were 12 under, and they were, among the teams we're talking about here, they were the deepest into their season prior to the Red Sox having a turnaround this year. 19-31 is where they found themselves middle of May before rallying to win the World Series. On to line 3, who's this?
This is Fred from Milford.
Fred in Milford. All right, Fred, you have gone from a 25% chance here to a 50% chance. 2 teams left on the board. What do you think?
I'm just going to go with the home team. I'm going to go with Boston.
Going to go with Boston. The one from the NL, but the one from 1914, those Boston Braves, are the correct answer.
Wow.
12-28 is where they sat on June 8th. They would finish the season 94-59-5. They would sweep the Philadelphia Athletics in the World Series. See if we can get Haley's Comet to fly back around Boston here in 26.
The Braves. Where do they play?
Huntington Avenue Grounds, I want to say.
Okay.
That was like they shared there with the Red Sox, and then I don't know if they moved on from there, but wherever it was that they ended up playing for X amount of years, it's now part of one of the universities in the city.
University, yeah.
There's the home plate and pitcher's mound. There's a little plaque where both of them were initially.
Yep. BU. That's, and the Braves hung around for quite a while, actually, before they moved to
Till the 30s.
Milwaukee.
Babe Ruth came around and played there his final season. All right. Well, there you go. Swooping in and making Tuesday trivia your own. Hang on the line. I'll be back with you to get your info in just a second. All right, that will do it for the first hour of today's show. The Drive brought to you by Fat Panda Boba Tea and Market on Harlow Street in Bangor, next to Goslin's Bakery. Sip fresh boba, explore snacks, ramen, and their tasty Jamaican patties. Also brought to you by Casella, good pay, good people, good life. Find your place at powerofhardwork.com, and by Natural Lawn Care of America. If you want a greener, healthier lawn without harsh chemicals, Natural Lawn Care of America can help. Organic-based care with Tick Ranger protection. Call 721-0600 or naturallawncare.com/Bangor-ME. Naturally healthier lawns. The Drive at 5 comes your way next on Maine Sports Leader 92.9 The Ticket, WEZQ Bangor.